Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Anti-Pharmacist podcast. Here in Nigeria, it's been raining quite a lot lately. It looks like the rain we prayed for and waited for has finally arrived, but not without its challenges though. There have been reports of floods in different parts of Nigeria, which is a sorry case actually, and disease outbreaks are common occurrences during rainy seasons, partly due to the accumulation of dirty water in the environment, as in the case of floods, which creates a conducive environment for the growth of various disease-causing organisms, amongst other things, like the atmospheric condition is even a kind of incubator for these organisms. These organisms thrive more in cold environments, which is typical of rainy seasons. On this episode, I will be talking about disease prevention in rainy seasons. It is my aim to bring to your attention some diseases that are common in rainy seasons, which you might have noticed or not, and how to prevent them. So, let's get right into it. The rainy season is a period of moderate to heavy rainfall. It typically runs between March to October in most countries, although there has been some aberrations due to climate change. Even in countries that have 4 seasons instead of 2, that is summer, winter, autumn and spring, they still experience rainy season typically in autumn and spring. I had to do some geography studies for this episode, and this reminded me of why I loved geography so much back in secondary school. During rainy season, there is high humidity and less sunlight. Things get wet more easily and dry out slower. You tend to see puddles of water everywhere, and drainages and gutters are usually awash with moving wastewater. It is when these waterways are blocked by one thing or the other that floods result. Sometimes rivers and dams overflow due to heavy rainfall. All these conditions support the growth and proliferation of one disease-causing organism or the other. This is why people tend to fall sick more often in rainy seasons than in dry seasons. And it is in this period that people spend more on their health. People spend more money on medications. So, I'm bringing you this episode today to help you save your money, especially in this austerity period that we are in. Instead of spending money on those medications for these diseases, why not practice some preventive or preventative strategies? Do you understand? Yes. So, you see, I have your best interest at heart. I'm not just concerned about you buy medicine and medicine all the time. No, I'm here to help you prevent these diseases. The most common diseases of the rainy season are malaria, dengue fever, cold and flu, diarrhea, typhoid, gastroenteritis, fungal infections, hepatitis A, cholera, especially more recently in Nigeria. Of course, there are others like leptospirosis, chikungunya, but I will limit it to the most common ones to save time. And I can decide to talk about them all. Who knows? Just follow me, okay? Firstly, let's talk about the mosquito-borne diseases, which are malaria, dengue fever, also known as breakbone fever, and chikungunya. These are caused by different species of mosquitoes, but what is common to them is the breeding sites and mode of transmission of the diseases. Okay, I know many people are familiar with malaria, but the other 2 diseases might be strange to you. Well, malaria is not the only mosquito-borne disease. World Mosquito Day was celebrated recently, and I wrote an article on LinkedIn about the different diseases caused by mosquitoes, about 10 of them. So you can check that out, okay? Now, dengue fever is a mosquito-borne viral infection that can cause severe flu-like symptoms, including high fever, headache, muscle and joint pains, and a characteristic skin rash. For the case of malaria, which is another mosquito-borne disease caused by a parasite and transmitted through the bite of infected Anopheles mosquito, the symptoms include chills, fever, and flu-like illness as well. And for chikungunya, it is transmitted by infected mosquitoes and can cause sudden rise in fever and severe joint pain, often accompanied by headache, nausea, fatigue, muscle pain, and rash. You can see that there are common symptoms to these three because they are transmitted by mosquitoes, only that dengue and chikungunya are viral diseases while malaria is parasitic diseases. Dengue and chikungunya are transmitted most often by the Aedes aegypti mosquito species, while malaria is transmitted by the female Anopheles mosquito. Okay, they have basically the same symptoms, only that only malaria is not characterized by skin rash. All right, so please note that because dengue and chikungunya are not that common, although many people have misdiagnosed them as malaria. Now let's move to the prevention tips. The first thing is to eliminate stagnant water because mosquitoes breed in stagnant water. So ensure that there is no standing water anywhere around your home, okay? Also, use mosquito repellents. These are creams, okay, that you can apply on your body while sleeping so that it repels the mosquito, it chases them away. They're not able to come close to your skin, to give that bite that transmits the disease-causing organisms. Also, use mosquito nets while sleeping. And this is the rainy season. It tends to be colder. So even if you are one who complains that mosquito net causes heat, this is the period where you can use it conveniently, right? So please use mosquito nets, insecticide treated ones, by the way. Then wear protective clothing. Long sleeve shirts and long pants can actually reduce mosquito bites. Okay, then use insecticide to kill mosquitoes indoors. You can use insecticides, and luckily there are many types of insecticides now, those ones that will not choke you. There are many odorless insecticides that you can spray. Of course, you leave your house for a while before you come in so that you don't inhale the chemicals, so that you don't have any adverse effect on you. But you understand, right? Then participate in local efforts to control mosquito populations, like clearing your environment of all bushes and dirt, clear your gutters, your waste water sites, and all of that, so that there is no breathing space or environment for these mosquitoes. And that is it about those diseases that are caused by mosquitoes. The next I'll be talking about are diseases that are spread by air. The first is cold and flu. The two most common viral infections, cold and flu, often arise due to sudden temperature changes during the rainy season. So those with weak immune systems, especially children and the elderly, are more susceptible. Symptoms include a runny nose, sore throat, watery eyes, fevers, and chills. These are very common, really common during rainy seasons, although they also occur during dry season, but they are more common in rainy season, right? Prevention tips. Number 1, stay dry. Just keep yourself dry all the time, especially if you have been caught in the rain. There are many times that you go out without planning, ahead. You don't take your umbrella and it just rains. You get drenched up to a point before you find shelter. Just try and dry yourself. Change out of wet clothes as soon as possible to avoid catching a chill, okay? Strengthen your immune system by eating balanced diet, which is rich in fruit, vegetables, antioxidants to enhance your immunity. You can consider supplements like vitamin C and zinc, with the advice of your healthcare professional, of course. Maintain good hygiene. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water to prevent the spread of germs. Additionally, avoid touching your face, okay, especially your nose, your eyes, and your mouth, because these are orifices through which these viruses, disease-causing organisms enter into the body. Then get adequate sleep. You see, you should ensure that you rest well to allow your body to recover and to maintain your immune system, okay? Good sleep helps to maintain strong immune system. Another precaution or preventive measure is avoiding crowded places. During peak rainy seasons, try to stay away from crowded places where viruses can easily spread. If unavoidable, wear a face mask and practice social distancing. Okay? Then, observe cough, sneeze etiquette. Cover your mouth and nose while coughing or sneezing so that you don't release these viruses into the air for another person to catch. Those are nice etiquettes that you should actually observe and get used to. Then lastly, ensure good ventilation. Ensure that your homes are well ventilated at all times. Open your windows. Do not let the house be too stuffy. Do you understand? It reduces the rate at which infections are spread. Now, to diseases spread by waterlogging, the leptospirosis is the major one. It is a bacterial infection that is spread through water contaminated with urine of infected animals. It can cause high fever, severe headache, muscle pain, chills, redness in the eyes, and vomiting. Of course, when there is water produce everywhere, there are domestic animals everywhere, it can easily be contracted, you see. Prevention tips. 1. Avoid flood waters. Try to stay away from flood water or waterlogged areas. Okay? Wear protective gear. Like, if you need to wade through water, wear protective clothing and footwear. Those rubber boots that get to your knees, you should wear those, especially in areas that experience flood during rainy season, and you have to wade through the water a bit before you get, out of your street to your destination. Please wear protective clothing, because the urine of animals could have gotten into that water you're wading through, and other such substances or waste materials which could transmit infections to you. Then please maintain good hygiene and ensure your pets are vaccinated against this leptospirosis. So it's majorly through animal to human transmission, okay? Engage your veterinarian, guys. It will pay off for you. Now, to diseases caused by contaminated food and water. The number one I'll be discussing is cholera, because it's raging seriously now in Nigeria, where I record from. Okay? Cholera is an acute diarrhea infection, and it is caused by eating or drinking food or water that is contaminated by Vibrio cholerae bacterium. Okay? And it is extremely serious that it causes acute watery diarrhea with severe dehydration. It can take between 12 hours and 5 days for a person to show symptoms after consuming contaminated food or water, and it affects both children and adults. It can kill within hours if untreated. Okay? Many people do not even develop symptoms, although the bacteria can be present in the feces for 1 to 10 days after the infection. This means that the bacteria can be released back into the environment, potentially infecting other people without people knowing. You see how dangerous it is? And the case has been rising a lot in Nigeria recently. Another one is typhoid. It's the most common rainy season disease. Well, second now to cholera recently. It's a bacterial infection as well. It also spread through contaminated food and water. What it causes, which are the symptoms, are prolonged fever, fatigue, headache, nausea, abdominal pain, constipation, or diarrhea. The third one is gastroenteritis. It's commonly known as stomach flu. It is an inflammation of the stomach and intestines, which result from bacterial or viral infections. So the symptoms also include diarrhea, vomiting, stomach pain, and cramps. You see that a lot of these diseases spread through contaminated food and water. Since you're taking them in with food, they really affect your gastrointestinal tract, which is why you experience abdominal pain, constipation, or diarrhea or stomach cramps. You see? So when you feel these symptoms, don't assume it's one or the other. Just go see your healthcare provider. They'll be able to do the differential diagnosis and treat you appropriately. But why I'm doing this podcast is for you to prevent these diseases. So I'll talk about the last one spread by contaminated food and water, before I go into the prevention tips, okay? Did you know that jaundice can be spread through contaminated water, food, and poor sanitation? Some people just come down with jaundice and people would think, it's because they have hepatitis or something. Jaundice can be spread through contaminated food, water, and poor sanitation. It leads to liver dysfunction and symptoms like weakness, fatigue, yellow urine, yellowing of the eyes, and vomiting. So that yellowing of the eyes is the most obvious symptoms that make people know that, this person has jaundice. Like the hepatitis A I mentioned earlier, amongst these diseases, is what will lead to jaundice. So what are the prevention tips? It's easy. Anything spread through contaminated food and water would require you to drink only safe drinking water. So you can boil your water or consume bottled water of good quality, because there are some that are not of good quality. So the duty is on you to identify the good ones and stick with them, okay? Then you should ensure proper food hygiene. Make sure that your food is cooked thoroughly and eat freshly prepared meals. Storage of food can be a problem too. It could even cause food poisoning. And what is food poisoning? When bacteria or other microorganisms grow in your food or get into the food one way or the other. It causes botulism. It causes botulism. It causes botulism. It causes botulism. And before you know it, you start experiencing symptoms of food poisoning. So, be careful while storing your food. If you store food at all, make sure that they are really frozen. So make sure that you don't have epileptic power supply. And they like to come today, they will take it tomorrow. Before you know it, the whole process of freezing and thawing starts allowing the growth of different bacteria, different microorganisms. And when it's time to eat your food, you not even warm it well and you eat it. This could be very dangerous for you. So it is better to just freshly prepare your food. Prepare the portion that you can finish and move on to the next thing. Alright? The third prevention tip for you is vaccination. Just get vaccinated against these diseases. A lot of them have vaccines. The hepatitis, for example, which causes jaundice, typhoid, they have vaccines. Just get vaccinated if possible. Then observe hand hygiene. Wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water, especially before eating, each time, because we place our hands in different places. A lot of germs are on our hands. We should endeavor to be sure, to make sure that they do not pass into our bodies, especially during eating. Okay. Then, this last one may be difficult for some people, but I shall say it. Avoid street food. Street food can be tempting, but it may not always be hygienic, especially during rainy season. Because the environment is mushy, might be dirty. If this vendor is not one who is really particular about hygiene, a lot of things get into those foods that we buy on the streets beside the road, and we just ingest everything. So be careful. If at all you buy street food, not during rainy season, okay? A lot of people, have cold and flu during that time. Another customer might even go there and sneeze on the food, you understand? Even the vendor himself might have a lot of germs on their hands and all of that. So, it's not advisable during rainy season to buy street food, okay? Just wait till dry season that things are better. If you must, that is if you must eat them. I hope that you agree with me, okay? Now, let's go to diseases spread by fungus. I mentioned that there are some fungal infections too that proliferate during rainy seasons. Number 1, athlete's foot, which is known as tinea pedis. It is a fungal infection that affects the skin on the feet, particularly between the toes. You know those things, right? That cause whitish substances between the toes that even brings out water. This fungus thrives in warm, moist environment, making the rainy season conducive to its spread. It causes itching, stinging, burning sensation on the affected skin. Prevention tips for this, because fungal infections can be stubborn. Each one has its own prevention tip, okay? Number 1, keep feet dry. After bathing or getting your feet wet, please clean your feet thoroughly. You can even have a towel for your feet alone. Clean between your toes all the time. Number 2, wear breathable footwear. Choose shoes that are made of breathable materials like leather or mesh. Wear palm sandals, not shoes. Wash your socks frequently. That is if you must wear them during rainy seasons. Wash them. Use moisture wicking socks like cottons, that are still breathable. Air will still enter, and change them if they become damp. Then use antifungal powders. Yes. Apply them between your feet and on your shoes. Don't wait till you have the athlete's feet before you start applying them. If you know that you are prone to these things, you will notice that your feet is usually moist after you have gone to work and come back, remove your shoes. You are noticing some strange smells in your sock. Just go and get antifungal powder quickly. That is a preventive strategy, okay? Another fungal infection is ringworm, known as Tinea corporis. It is contagious and it can affect the skin on various parts of your body. It appears as a red or silver rash in the shape of a ring. It may be itchy and inflamed, and it spreads through contact with an infected person or animal, or by touching contaminated surfaces. You see, sometimes it can be itchy. You know, I've mentioned it. So it's easily identified. You just see something like round ring, white or red, itchy. That's ringworm, and it's stubborn, like I told you. Prevention tips: maintain personal hygiene. It is very important. Wash your hands regularly, especially after touching pets or infected individuals. You should not even be touching people or pets anyhow. Do you understand? Keep your hands to yourself. It pays, okay? Avoid sharing personal items. Do not share clothing, towels, or personal items with someone who has ringworm, or with anybody at all. If it's not ringworm, it might be something else that doesn't have a physical symptom. Please. Then keep your skin dry and clean. Okay? Shower after activities that cause sweating, and dry your skin thoroughly. Avoid using wet towel during rainy season. I know that it may be difficult to dry clothes during rainy season because it may be raining all the time. Your clothes, you'll not be able to hang them outside. Sunlight is not that strong. It's not out a lot, so you might have to dry your clothes inside. If you can invest in a dryer, please buy them. These are the times that they will be useful. If not, have multiple clothes for the same function, like a towel. Now, you should not have one towel during the rainy season. You can have 2 or 3. When one is wet, you will have another dry one to use till the other one becomes dry. You understand? It's for your own good, because like I said, fungal infections are no jokes. The third fungal infection, and the final one I'll be talking about, is fungal nail infection called onychomycosis. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this. They just don't know the scientific name for it, right? It occurs when fungi invade one or more of the nails. They typically start at the edge or corner of the nail and can spread deeper into the nail over time. They are more common in toenails than fingernails, but of course they affect both, and they can cause the nails to become discolored, thickened, and brittle. It can be painful. If not well managed, one may even lose their fingernails, and it may be a permanent one. You understand? So you have to be careful. How do you prevent this? Keep nails trimmed and clean. So regularly trim your nails and clean them with soap and water, because this fungi can actually just hide under your fingernails, okay? Wear protective footwear. Use waterproof shoes or sandals in communal showers or around pools, or even while walking on the road. You know, these days, there are puddles everywhere, potholes and all of that. The whole, floor is wet. Why not invest in rubber shoes this period? There are nice ones around. Instead of wearing your normal clothes or cotton shoe that will be so wet and you'll be wearing them like that, it can give you onychomycosis. So just know that. So wear rubber so that it will not be penetrable to any water. Your feet will remain dry, okay? Avoid tight-fitting shoes. I've said it the other time. And this referred to how you can prevent them on your toenails. What about your fingernails? Please If you do manicure, I think that's the one for the hand, right? Make sure that they use sterilized equipment. Do you understand? Because these fungi, they are everywhere in the environment, especially during rainy season. They could just have perched on this equipment they are using to file your nails and clean your cuticles, and from there they can be introduced to your fingernails. Be careful. Another thing is, if possible, avoid washing so much with your hand during rainy season. Dipping your hand in water all the time can introduce them. You know that they like moist environment. You can get rubber gloves, right? And wear them to do some house chores that require you dipping hands inside water. And if possible, use washing machine, even if it's during the rainy season. There are portable ones and all of that you can use. These are ways to prevent fungal infections, otherwise known as onychomycosis. Okay, I think I've talked about majority of the diseases I mentioned in the beginning, so I think you should clap for me, right? Alright, thank you. I can hear the claps from here. Rainy season doesn't have to mean falling ill, okay? If you take these preventative measures that I have listed and explained, you can enjoy the rain without worrying about these common diseases. Just remember to keep your environment clean, drink safe water, maintain good hygiene, take precautions against mosquito bites, okay? Also, timely vaccinations are vital in preventing many rainy season diseases. Get your information about vaccination from your healthcare providers. You can approach them and ask them, is there a vaccine for this particular illness? Or they could give you the vaccination schedule. Do you understand? Just get the information from them. Know which one you could do for yourself, your family, your pets to prevent these diseases. Because, like I always say, and like it is generally known, prevention is always better than cure. I don't think there's been any argument against that. Or, as there, you can tell me in the comment section if you don't agree anyway. Equally important is seeking medical attention at the first sign of illness, because early diagnosis can actually help you, and it helps to treat the illness quickly. Okay, it allows for proper treatment actually. So that is what I have for you on today's episode of the Anti-Pharmacist Podcast. Thank you once again for being with me as always. You know how to contact me, right? On socials. Just search for Anti-Pharmacist Podcast on IG, Demisola Adebisi Jose on LinkedIn and Facebook, Fan Podcaster on X, alright? There's Anti-Pharmacist Podcast on YouTube Musical. I think I've mentioned that. And you can reach me via mail on antipharmacistpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for always supporting your girl, okay? Continue to like, to share, to subscribe, to follow this podcast. And most importantly, comment on this episode. Let me know what you think about it. Ask your questions, okay? Give me suggestions. I love the feedback. So, I'll see you on Friday, right? Till then, stay healthy and God bless you.